These are your 2 8 notes on solving for a specific variable. So the goal in this section is to isolate the desired variable in a formula with more than one variable. So a lot of formulas that we work with have more than one variable involved, like distance equals rate times time. There would be a d, there'd be an r, and there'd be a t. And so in any given moment, maybe you want that equation solved for d, solved for r, solved for t. So the desired variable is the one that they want you. They'll state, I want r by itself or t by itself. You want to get the variable alone. That's what isolate means. Get that variable alone. To do that, you're going to use inverse operations with the other variables the same way we would do that with numbers. So if we're adding a variable, then we'd subtract it. You want to take care of the addition and subtraction first, and then do the multiplication and division if you need to, if there's multiple steps. So let's go ahead and just jump right in. So the problems are going to look like this, where you have numbers and variables. In the first example, we have 2 variables. And so they're telling us that they want us to solve for m. And so if we're going to solve for m, we want to get m by itself. So right now, what it looks like is that we're multiplying m by 4, and then we're subtracting 3n. So if we want to rewind, the first thing we got to take care of is the minus 3n. So we're going to add 3n to both sides. I'm not going to put it underneath the 8 because n's and 8's and whole numbers cannot be added together. So we're just going to put it after it. So I'm going to bring down the 4m. The negative 3n and the positive 3n cancel. Bring down the equal sign. Bring down the 8 plus 3n. So you can't make that 11n because 8 is just an 8. It doesn't have an n with it. Now we're multiplying m by 4, so we want to divide by 4. We can divide the entire side by 4. It's probably the easiest way. And so m is equal to 8 plus 3n all over 4. And you can leave your answer just like that. So whatever m stands for, this is how you'd get it in terms of n. Number 2, we have a k and a p, and it's telling us to solve for k. So let's look at what's happening to k. If k, there was a number for k, I would subtract 2, and then I would divide by 5. So I have to rewind what I just said, because the 5's underneath the entire subtraction, we got to take care of that first. So division of 5, we're going to multiply both sides by 5. This whole side by 5 and the 11p times 5. When you multiply the left side by 5, they just cancel. And so you're left with k minus 2 is equal to 11p times 5 is 55p. Now I can add 2 to both sides. Again, when I add 2, it does not go with the p's because it's just a 2. So I'm going to put it after the p's. The negative 2 and positive 2 cancel. I bring down the k. I bring down the equal sign. And I just bring down both terms. So you can't put them together because the 2 doesn't have a p. And so this is how you solve for k. I have one more here, and then we'll get into a word problem. So we're going to solve this time when we're solving the variables on the outside of a quantity. And when it's sitting on the outside of the quantity there, it really means multiplication. And so we would distribute normally. But since t is the variable that we want to get by itself, if I distribute this into those two, I just made t even more complex. So right now, t is really all by itself. It's just being multiplied by r plus 4. So anytime you have this and the variable on the outside is what you want to isolate, since we're multiplying by r plus 4, let's just go ahead and divide by r plus 4. So we're going to divide both sides by r plus 4. They cancel. On the left side, I have a 28 divided by the quantity r plus 4, and that's equal to t. So try not to distribute. If you were to distribute, you're just going to make more steps for yourself. Okay, so use that as a reference. Anytime you see that, I've shown you a couple different examples that you can reference throughout your homework. Here's a word problem. So a car's fuel economy, E, miles per gallon, this tells you how many miles you get per gallon of gas, is given by the formula E is equal to M divided by G. M is the number of miles driven, and G is the number of gallons used. So that's how you figure out your car's fuel economy. So right now it's set up in terms of E. So we have this E is equal to M over G formula. But they want you to solve for M, and then we can use it for part B. So to solve this for M, we want to get M by itself. It's being divided by G. So to undo that, we would multiply both sides by G. Cancels on the right. And so what we have is, I'm going to put E out in front. EG is equal to M. Or you could write M is equal to EG. So part B asks, if Charlie's car has an average fuel consumption of 30 miles per gallon, and he used 9.5 gallons of gas, how far did he drive? So this fuel consumption of 30 is your E value. He used 9.5 gallons of gas. There's your G value. We can figure out how far he's driven, or your M. So M is equal to E times G. That means your miles driven is your 30 miles per gallon, and he drove and he used 9.5 gallons. And in the end, then, we can figure out the mileage is 285 miles. There you have it. So the lesson summary is asking you to figure out what the term isolate means in this lesson. I defined that early on. And then on the practice, I'd like you to use the distance formula, but write it in terms of T. Right now, the distance formula is set up in terms of D. I'd like you to solve that for T. Good luck.